When you go to the gym for the first freaking 2 months, you're not going to see a lot of results in the first 2 months, but if you stick to it in 6 months, you will.
Yep.
Right? And that's every single new thing that we do in life. That's every single new business venture or real estate opportunity. That's just how life works. You got to do it long enough to stick through the boring parts, to stick through the parts where you don't see results. And if you can do it for 6 months, you can do it for 12 months, you will look back and your life will freaking change. All right, guys, welcome to another episode of The Report Saturday edition. And I got my favorite co-host, Miss Alex Johnson. Alex, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. How's it going?
It's going really good. We got some really nice sunshine outside. Should be a really amazing weekend. We got our yacht meetup tomorrow. We have a good turnout, sold out boat on the Champagne Yacht here in downtown San Diego. So super excited. How's everything with you?
It's great. Yeah, just looking forward to the weekend, looking forward to the yacht meetup and just some sunshine. And yeah, it's been a good week.
Absolutely. And loving the black on black, a little touch of gray.
Thank you.
Right on brand. So anyways, let's jump into it. I want to really talk about the commitment that it takes to really grow and build something cool, whether it's, something in your own personal journey, or if it's that side hustle that you're trying to build, or maybe you're just trying to get out of your W-2 job and you're trying to get into whatever that thing is. True commitment is when alternatives no longer exist. And I'm always a big believer in putting yourself in situations where the hard way is the only way. I think life rewards those who go all in. I think back and reflect all the time. I probably don't reflect and appreciate enough, but it is crazy to think like 5 years ago, I was working as a full-time air traffic controller. I was working nights, weekends, holidays. I felt stuck. I didn't feel like I was growing any longer. And I didn't even know entrepreneurship. I didn't even know much about real estate investing. It was like this entire new world to me that I didn't know much about. Jumped in and I never used to be this way. But I forced myself to learn it, and I forced myself to start committing to things. And it was really scary at first. But now, after all these reps and all these like mistakes that I made along the way and all these like road bumps that pop up, and there's going to be a lot of things that pop up in everyone's journey, and that's just inevitable. And the resiliency of, myself, finding the resources, having an amazing team, and being able to push through all these challenges that present themselves to us along our journeys. Now I've built the confidence to be like, there's not a lot of things that scare me anymore.
Right.
There's not.
Yep.
And, at every level, there's going to be new things that challenge you. And I know that there's going to be new things that challenge me. And, we're all dealing with things that, regardless of the level, that push us and challenge us. But once you do them, they no longer make you flinch.
Yeah. The only way that you know that you can do hard things is to do the hard things, right? And it helps you build confidence. And then it's like your new threshold, and you're never going to know unless you do it.
Yeah, no, you're so right. And so I remember being scared cashing out my 401k to buy a $350,000 small apartment building in Cincinnati. Yeah, at the time it was scary. Everyone told me it was too risky. Everyone was quick to outline all the risks. But 5 years later, I'm looking back and I'm like, well, none of this stuff would have happened had I not took that risk.
Yeah.
But secondly, that idea of cashing out the 401k, it's like not a big deal anymore. So now when I talk to other folks and they're like, oh, like this is a big decision, I'm like, dude, I get it. I was there. If you don't do it, are you going to regret it?
Yeah, that's true.
And I think that's the more important question, right? And so, this is kind of how I've operated, basically every day of my life. And this has led to a lot of growth. I put myself in situations to where the hard way is the only way. I put myself in situations to where I kind of put my stuff out there, whether it's social media or on the podcast. I mean, it's a form of accountability, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm telling everyone I'm not drinking.
Yeah.
I can't go back and start drinking. You know what I mean?
I
But
know.
I love that because it's accountability. Or if I tell everyone, hey, I'm buying a boat, well, I better fucking buy the boat.
Yeah.
Or like, we're buying this deal, like I better buy the deal.
Yeah, you're good at putting stuff out there and then figuring it out.
Yeah. And often, I'm like, I don't know how we're going to buy that deal, but we're going to figure it out.
Yeah.
And you'd be surprised when you put yourself in that mindset and you can see it and you can believe it and you can speak it, it fucking happens.
It's your reality then.
It becomes your reality. I'll give you an example. So some of these hotel deals that we've closed on recently, we got non-refundable money.
Yeah.
Hotels in Dell, we had $200,000 non-refundable. That's a good chunk of change, meaning, hey, if we don't figure out a way to close on this deal, we're out $200,000.
Yep.
So talk about committing, right? And then also, the most recent deal we closed on at Sonoma Coast, I think there was like over $300,000 non-refundable on that one. So talk about a level of commitment. And, I think when you go all in, you burn the boats. When I quit the job,
Yeah.
that's another thing. When I walked away from an air traffic control position to where that was my 11-year career, no one leaves that job. It's like job security. You got a pension. No one leaves that job. And I was like 14 years away from getting a pension. And everyone told me I was fucking crazy, including my parents. My parents literally sat me down and said, like, you need to really think about doing this because we don't think you should.
Yeah. That's
And
tough.
like, think about that. So everyone's telling me not to do it. And I said, fuck it, I'm going to do it because I really wanted this life so much more. I really wanted to build my own thing. And I'm so glad that I did it looking back. And that's why I believe, like, you know, as much as we all love our parents and our parents want the best for us, generally speaking, and maybe we should do another podcast episode on this down the road, but like, I don't think that everyone should listen to their parents because their advice maybe worked 40 years ago.
It's a different generation.
It's not the best advice for today's age with technology and the opportunities that we have at our disposal and how quickly things are moving.
Yep.
I just don't think that advice from the 70s is great advice for
It's different
2024.
times. Yeah, they're going based off what they know and they're giving the best they can based off their experience, but things have just changed so much. So definitely have to take it with a grain of salt, and it's just a different time.
Yeah, absolutely. So, you know, when I remember leaving that profession, and I was like, there's 300 coworkers that work at SoCal Approach, which is where I was working here in San Diego. And then I did 6 years before that at LA Center. There was another 300 coworkers up there. So that's 600 coworkers that are like, yo, Rich is quitting his job to go into real estate investing and like pursue this dream. You know, I was not going to go back there 12 months down the road and be like, guys,
Tail between
it didn't
your
work
legs.
out. Like, I just was not going to do that,
Yeah.
you know? And so by putting myself out there and telling everyone, hey, this is my new thing, like committing, burning the boats, jumping all in, like, talk about freaking motivation.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep.
The fear of failure is a real thing. But when failure no longer becomes an option and you have to figure it out and your back is against the wall, you will do things that you never thought were possible.
Yep.
I've been in those situations. I've been in those dark corners many times. And like,
Yeah.
we make mistakes all the time on the team. At the end of the day, like, that falls on my shoulders. I take full responsibility of those situations that we end up in. But because there's no backup option and because like we're going to figure it out, we always figure it out. You know, one of my favorite sayings is, you know, a lot of businesses go out of business, but it's not because they run out of money. It's because the entrepreneur gives up. And so if you are the entrepreneur that, you know, doesn't have the option to give up, you're going to figure it out. You know, and that might mean you're going to pivot. I think it's great to pivot, but like, if you're committed to the target and you're committed to figuring it out, you will figure it out, you know? And so I think most people, they think about a new thing they want to explore, a new business idea, or maybe it's a new piece of real estate they want to buy. And they put one foot in, one foot out, and they're like, let me test the waters. I want to see if it's like right or not. Yeah, by all means, like, you know, do some education, study, and like get yourself to a point to where you feel comfortable making the decision. But once you have all the information you need to make a rational decision, and if it's something that you desire and something you want, like, you need to go all in.
Yeah. And like you say all the time, just make a decision, even if it's the wrong one. You can pivot later. But the wrong decision, I feel like at least making one is better than never making one at all.
Absolutely.
You just have to go for it.
And whenever I make a tough decision, I always like to think, okay, what is the worst possible outcome? And am I okay with the worst possible outcome? Because often the worst possible outcome is not that bad.
Right. You'll still be fine.
Yes.
You'll still be okay.
Like, you know, when I left the air traffic control position, I was like, what is the worst possible outcome? Okay, well, the worst possible outcome is like this flops and like 6 months later, I can go back to my freaking day job and they'll hire me back.
Exactly.
And I'll be in the same position that I am today. Like, that's the worst possible outcome. And then the upside is like infinite. And so I'm like, okay, so like the risk is I'll be in the same position I'm at today and the upside is infinite.
Yep.
I'll take that gamble freaking 10 out of 10 times.
Yeah.
Right? You know, one of our friends, shout out to Austin. Austin's a good friend of ours. He's a dog, one of my best friends. And we manage one of his properties, and like, good dude, real estate investor, comes to all our stuff. But his girlfriend was in a situation where she, you know, has a fitness coaching program, but then she was working this like day job. And she hated the day job.
Yeah.
And she didn't have time because she was so exhausted after getting out of the day job to like, you know, shoot content or build her like online fitness program. And so Austin was like, yeah, dude, it'd be cool like if you could, you know, just chat with her and like kind of like inspire her a little bit. So I was like, yeah, bring her in the office. So she came in. I was like, Amber, come in the office. Let's chat. And I was like, hey, like, tell me what's going on. And so we just kind of broke it down. And I was like, so you're telling me that because of this day job that you feel like you need to have, which she hated, she freaking dreaded going into, they weren't taking care of her, they weren't compensating her. And you're telling me that this day job is preventing you from growing this fitness program.
Yeah.
And so I just broke it down on the whiteboard. I was like, okay, this is the opportunity cost and this is what you could be doing. And this is how much time it could free up. And I was like, worst case scenario, you're going to do X amount of deals and that will cover whatever your day job is compensating you. And she's like, oh, light bulb moment. And she's like, cool. Literally like 2 days later, she's like, thank you, I'm quitting the job.
Yeah,
so,
I'm stoked for her. That's so exciting.
And so since then, she's been like new energy, good vibes, like freaking awesome. So I say all this in that, you know, life rewards those who go all in. And so if you're one right now, and I've been there where you're like, man, I don't know, want to do this new thing, or you've been, you know, 1 foot in, 1 foot out with all these different things, and every 6 months you're trying something new and you've never found something that you're like going to get some traction with. Well, that's because you're not committed to any of those things. And so you need to pick one. In all reality, everything works in this world. You just got to fucking do it long enough to get past the boring work, to the times where you're not going to see much results. Then things are boring. Like when you go to the gym for the first freaking 2 months, you're not going to see a lot of results in the first 2 months. But if you stick to it in 6 months, you will.
Yep.
Right? And that's every single new thing that we do in life. That's every single new business venture or real estate opportunity. That's just how life works. You got to do it long enough to stick through the boring parts, to stick through the parts where you don't see results. And if you can do it for 6 months, you can do it for 12 months, you will look back and your life will freaking change. And that's just how it works.
Yep.
So anyways, I think that concludes this episode of the Saturday Edition. She's Alex Johnson. I'm Rich Summers. Listeners, thanks for tuning in. We'll see you in the next one. Peace.
Peace.